In assembly modeling, you do not need bolts and nuts to put parts together. This means that if a bolt is needed to join two parts together in real life, you will not need this bolt in assembly modeling. While they are not needed, you should still put the bolts and nuts in assembly for other purposes, such as interference check, visual inspection, and bookkeeping. There are two types of commands that you can use to put the parts together. One is joint, the other one is constrain. You can use them individually or mixed together to put the parts together. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use some of the most frequently used constrain commands. Let's start with this example. I have two parts here. As you can see, the connecting rod is grounded. You can see the thumbnail in here. And then the rod cap is not. So I can actually move this. And then this one I cannot move because it's grounded. Now, let's start with this command, constrain. This place constrain command, there are other options in here. For assembly, we only use this, assembly. And there are 5 different types. And I'm going to show you this one, mates, and also inserts. Now, for the mate, there are many options. You can make two surfaces together. So you can make this surface and that surface together. Or you can make the axis together, the center line of this hole, and same thing over here. So you can make them together just like that. Or you can make the points. You can see this points. You can make those 2 points together. So there are many ways to do it. Now let me start one at a time. So for mate, I'm going to try this. 2 flat surfaces together. I can make it face to face or flush. So I'm going to use the face to face. Applied. Now cancel. Now this is still, I can still move it. But if you look at the front view, I can only move up and down. If I look at the top view, I can only move left and right. Actually in here, so I can only move this direction. I cannot move into the right direction. I cannot move them in here. So I can only move on this, along this plane. Now the next step, if I want to make this to secure this part into the connecting rod, I can do a couple more things. I can say applying another mate, these 2 lines together, apply. Now it looks like it's connected, but it's not. I still can move this way. So in order to do that, I can actually apply another mate, but this time it's another axis, and now they are fully constrained. So I cannot move it. So let me undo it. I'm going to delete these 3. I can go in here. You can find the commands in here. I can delete these 3. Right click, delete. So I'm going to repeat that. But this time, I'm going to show you something else instead of that method. So I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to start with the command mate again. I can say these 2 surfaces can be flushed together. So if you look at the top view, so I can move around this area, but if I look at the top view, I cannot move out of this plane. and then I can apply mates in here. Now you just saw it, I can make a plane to a line as well. See if you can see it. I can apply this plane and also this edge. So this edge is touching the plane, or this plane is touching the plane, or this point is touching the plane. It means a lot if you do that individually, but in this case, all of them works the same way. So I can use this, I can use that, I can use the plane. So I'm going to use the plane, apply it. And finally, I can use another mate to say in here, this is a center line, and maybe the center point. If I can use the center point, I can use the center line as well. I can use the center line if I wanted to. So either way, it will work. So this will work too. Now, when you place constraint, it's very important that you understand what you are doing. So I'm going to give you an example now. I'm going to delete these constraints. Now this time, I'm going to use mates, but this time I'm going to use the point. So by using a point, this means that your parts it's not like you are sliding. Now you can actually rotate around that point. So it could be very confusing if you click on the wrong edge, wrong point, or wrong face. So it is important to understand the concept in assembly. So now, in order to fix it, there are a couple ways. I can apply another joint, another constraint. I can use this point and that point. I can say this plane and that plane flush. So these are the common skills that you can use. But usually, you should do the following. Usually, let me delete these two again. Usually, you should do the face to face, not the edge. So you should do the face to face, so you know these two faces are touching each other. And you should do the center axis between these two, apply, and similarly in here, apply. So now you can secure the connecting rods. Now let me repeat that. Right click, delete. So I'm going to use inserts instead this time. Inserts, basically one insert can replace two of the mate commands. So now let's take a look at here. So I'm going to use inserts. I'm going to insert this edge. So you can see this center point right there, the center point, and that center point. So let me repeat that. Insert this center point. If I click on the edge, it would find the center point for me. And similarly, if I find this edge, it will find the center point for me. Now it tells me that these two center points are aligned, and also I can give a distance in here. If I make it 0, the two faces will meet together, and at the same time will be aligned. This means that I can use one insert to replace a mate constraint that align these two cylinders or these two axes, and a mate that made these two planes together. So one insert, I can do two things. So let me show you. Open this a little bit, 0.5, then show you again. So if I use insert, I basically can replace two mate constraint. One is this center line. I do not need that anymore. The other one is I do not need to have the planes anymore. So previously I would need this plane and this plane. So one insert one made command. In here, I will need this plane for mates, and I will need this axis for mates. So, but in this case, I use only inserts to replace 2. So I'm going to put a 0 in here. Now in here, I can still swing. You might not need another insert in here. You could, let's say, if I do insert in here, I can do another insert in here. Now, the other thing is that if I want to put a space in between, let's say I have a gasket or something, I want to make a sketch, the space. Now, if I want to add a distance in here, 0.1, now it will give me an error. This error tells you that this is supposed to be 0 and this also 0. So 2 of them are 0 now. And if you want to change this number to 0.1, you cannot do it without changing the other one as well. So it is very confusing if you do that. You are putting too much constraint into the parts. The right way to do it, right click, delete. Now, to do it the right way, you can mix them with constraint in mates now. So you can click on this axis and that axis. Apply. Now, the combination of these two constraints, you can see this right here. If I put a distance of 0.5, it will move because this constraint in here, this main constraint, only limits the rotation of this part. It will still follow this line, follow this axis. So you can move this part anywhere you want, and it will not change its direction, but it will just keep on along with in this axis. So now let me put it back in here, 0. So this part is now fully constrained. So these two are the most commonly used constraint commands that you can use for assembly.